am Sierra Vance, 29 years old, a mechanic who spends more time under car hoods than under warm lights or holiday tables. People say I look softer than my job suggests. Long hair I keep tied back, eyes that give away more than I want, and a face that somehow stays feminine even when there's engine grease on my cheek. But none of that has ever mattered to my family. To them, I've always been the person who fixes things, not the one who belongs. I grew up in a house where appearances were everything. My mother organized our family like some people curate online profiles. Perfect smiles, perfect outfits, perfect stories. And next to my younger sister, Eliza, the family's golden brand ambassador, I was always the background character. Eliza shone. Eliza dazzled. Eliza walked into a room expecting applause, and she usually got it. My father played along. For him, a daughter with soft curls in a PR job was something to brag about. A daughter who changed brake pads and rebuilt old engines. Useful, he'd say. Not talented, not gifted, just handy. I didn't fight it. I learned early that challenging the Vance family narrative only made things worse. So I stayed quiet, strong, the one who solved problems. When the sink leaked, I fixed it. When Eliza dented the car, I drove across town at midnight. When my parents forgot to pay certain bills, I stepped in before the penalties hit. I poured so much of myself into them that I barely noticed how empty I had become. My garage and my boulder became the only places that felt like mine. The concrete floors, the scent of oil, the rumble of an engine catching its breath. Those things made sense in a way my family never did. Machines didn't get embarrassed by me. They didn't compare me to Eliza. They didn't ask me to make myself smaller. When my mother uninvited me from Thanksgiving, it wasn't a surprise. It still hurt. A deep, pulsing hurt I didn't want to admit, but it wasn't new. She used the same soft, polished tone she always used when she was about to say something cruel. "Your sister wants her boyfriend to have the perfect first impression," she said. "She thinks having you there might complicate things." I was in my garage with grease on my hands, the cold air biting my neck, when the line went silent. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I just hung up and stared at the floor, as if it suddenly had the answers. For a long moment, I realized my own family could cut me out of a holiday that was supposed to be about gratitude. But something inside me changed. Not anger, not yet. More like a quiet clicking into place. Like a bolt finally tightening after years of being loose. Clarity. Cleaned my tools. I locked the garage. I went home alone. And for the first time in my life, I wondered what it would look like to build something that didn't include them at all. The next morning, someone pounded on my door hard enough to rattle the frame. I was half asleep, my hair loose around my shoulders, when I opened it and found my entire family on my porch. My mother, father, Eliza, and the boyfriend she had apparently been preparing the world for. Their faces were red from the cold and from anger. Mostly anger. My mother didn't even say hello. "Why did you tell people you weren't invited?" Her voice sliced through the air as if she had every right to. "I didn't tell anyone," I replied. "You must have," she retorted. "Your grandmother called us asking what happened. Do you know how humiliated we were?" Humiliated. The same word she had used about me, possibly ruining Eliza's perfect first impression. My father intervened next, shaking his head as if I were a problem he thought he had solved years ago. "You always twist things, Sierra. Always making us look like the bad guys." Eliza crossed her arms, wrapped in a cream-colored coat that looked like it had never known dirt. She eyed me up and down, as if my loose t-shirt and pajama pants were personally offending her. "It's honestly unbelievable that you're doing this right now," she said. "You know how much pressure I'm under." Pressure. I almost laughed, but then Eliza's boyfriend stepped forward, hands tucked in his pockets. Julian Reese, tall, clean-cut, the kind of guy Eliza would practice smiles for in the mirror. He didn't look furious like the others. He looked confused. My mother continued. "You should have accepted that Eliza is trying to build a certain image. Her career depends on it. You showing up in work boots and smelling like engine oil." My father interrupted. "It's not wrong to ask you to stay home 1 year. Eliza added. Literally, it's not a big deal. I let them talk. I let them pile their logic, their excuses, their entitlement on top of one another like bricks. My silence only made them louder. Finally, my mother asked, "Do you have anything to say for yourself?" Before I could answer, Julian spoke. "Hold on," he said slowly, looking at me again. "Wait, Sierra Vance." The porch went still. Eliza blinked hard. "What are you doing?" she whispered sharply to him, but Julian didn't look at her. He stepped closer. "You're the Sierra Vance who restored that '72 Charger. The one people couldn't stop posting about on the forums." My breath caught, not because he recognized me but because my family didn't. They didn't even know the work I was proudest of. "What? No, she just fixes cars." Julian shook his head. "No, she builds them, she restores them. I followed her work for months. Her craftsmanship is unbelievable." And just like that, the family hierarchy cracked. Eliza's perfect image wobbled, my mother's script slipped, my father's certainty collapsed. For the first time, someone in their world was looking at me, not as a tool, not as an embarrassment, but as someone who mattered. And they hated it. My mother recovered first, stepping between Julian and me. "Well, that's all very nice, but it doesn't change anything. We came because we need to talk about responsibilities." That word had been chained to my ankles my whole life. My father cleared his throat. "The roof is leaking again. We need you to take a look today." Eliza followed instantly. "And I need money, decorations for a holiday event. You know how important it is. Can you transfer it by this weekend?" I looked at her. "You are asking me for money after uninviting me?" She rolled her eyes as if I had said something utterly dramatic. "Don't be silly. This is separate. I can't have an ugly-looking event. It reflects on my work." My mother nodded sharply. "Family helps family. Or have you forgotten that?" I almost laughed. The irony hit so hard it was overwhelming. They hadn't come to apologize. They came to collect. Julian's eyes moved slowly between them and me. "Are you serious?" he asked quietly. "After everything you just said to her?" My father barked. "This is none of your concern." But Julian didn't back down. He studied me with a clarity I wasn't used to. "Is this normal for them?" I didn't need to answer. Eliza threw her hands up. "Can we focus, Sierra? I really need the money and the roof. Dad already told everyone you'd handle it. Don't make us look stupid." That word again, image. Always image. Something inside me shifted. Not a sharp break, but a slow, undeniable settling, like sand finally sinking to the bottom of the glass. "No," I said. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was steady, anchored, final. My mother blinked. "What did you say?" "I'm not fixing the roof," I repeated. "I'm not paying for decorations. I'm not covering bills. Not anymore." Silence cracked across the porch. My father took a step forward. "After everything we've done for you." I cut him off. "Everything you've done? You mean feeding me as a kid?" "That was parenting, not a loan." Eliza scoffed. "You're being ridiculous. You always help." "Not anymore," I said again, the words landing heavier this time. My mother raised her voice. "We raised you. And I'm grateful," I replied calmly. "But you don't get to use that as a lifetime contract." The wind whistled between us, carrying their shock back toward me. Julian exhaled slowly, almost relieved someone finally said it. "Good for you," he murmured loud enough for them all to hear. Eliza's face contorted. "Why are you taking her side?" He looked at her evenly. "Because she isn't wrong." The balance shifted again, this time faster, harsher. My father snapped. "You'll regret this." But I didn't feel fear. I felt something quiet and powerful rising inside me. "Boundaries." "Leave," I said. They didn't move immediately. Then Julian stepped back, not toward them but toward me. That broke whatever hold they thought they still had. They left in a storm of indignation and slammed car doors, snow swirling in their wake. I watched them drive off, my breath steady, my heart strangely calm. A line had been drawn. The snow had already piled against the garage doors when Christmas Eve arrived. Inside, the heaters hummed, the Christmas lights cast a warm amber glow across the concrete, and laughter filled the space in a way I had never heard in my childhood home. Mr. Bennett told stories about mail routes in winter storms. The teens from the shelter teased each other over burned rolls. Tasha hugged me so tightly I had to laugh to loosen her arms. It wasn't luxurious. It wasn't curated. But it was real. And for the first time in my life I felt like I belonged somewhere. I was reaching for more cider when the garage door rattled so violently it made everyone jump. Before I could move, the doors flew open and the winter slammed in, along with 3 voices I knew too well. My mother, father, Eliza. Their faces were red from cold and from fury that had been simmering long enough to boil over. My mother pointed at me as if I'd committed a crime. "You humiliated us." Her voice echoed off the metal rafters. "Do you know what our relatives said after you abandoned Thanksgiving, after you told them lies about us?" I felt every pair of eyes in the garage turn toward them. My father stepped forward, pointing a finger at me. "You think you're better than us now. Now that you have your little garage and your followers." Eliza shoved past them, mascara streaking down her face. "Julian left," she said, her voice cracking. "He walked out on Christmas. He said he needed space from my family and from me." She looked at me as if she wanted to tear the air apart. "This is your fault." A murmur ran through the room. The teenagers stared. "I didn't make him leave," I said calmly. Eliza's voice rose to a shriek. "You took him from me." Julian's voice came from behind them. He stepped forward in the doorway, snow dusted across his coat. "No," he said firmly. "She didn't." Eliza spun toward him. "Why are you here?" He looked at her with a steadiness that was final. "Because I wanted to be someplace genuine tonight. Your sister built something here. And you never appreciated who she is." My mother gasped. My father scoffed. "This is ridiculous. We are her family, not you." Julian didn't flinch. "Family doesn't treat her like a utility." Eliza snapped. "You are choosing her." "I'm choosing decency," he said. I went behind the workbench, opened a drawer, and pulled out the brown envelope I had prepared weeks earlier. Held it out. "These are the payments," I said. "Everything I've covered for you over the years." My father snatched it with a triumphant sneer, but his expression changed as he unfolded the papers. Insurance, repairs, fees, emergency fixes. Every dollar, every forgotten favor. My mother's face drained of color. Eliza's lips trembled. "You kept track," my mother whispered. "No," I said. "I kept boundaries. You just never noticed them until now." A heavy silence spread. "You're unbelievable," my father said, his voice shaking. "We raised you. You owe us respect." "No," I said calmly. "I owe you honesty. And here it is. I'm done." Eliza's scream tore through the air. "You ruined everything." Julian stepped between her and me. "Stop blaming her for your behavior." They all looked smaller than I had ever seen them, exposed, deflated. No audience left to impress. I opened the garage door wider and stepped aside. "Leave," I said. For the first time in my life they obeyed. The snow swallowed their footsteps as they walked back into the night, their silhouettes fading until the storm carried them away. Julian turned to me. "You okay?" I nodded, feeling a silent peace. I walked back into the warmth of the garage, where my chosen family waited quietly, patiently, and lovingly. "Let's eat," I said. And the room exhaled as one. The storm lasted through the night, but inside the garage something had settled. I was no longer carrying the weight of 2 families. My future belonged only to me. Not chasing a seat at a table that never wanted me, I built my own, and it filled itself.